Everybody, I'm Terry Henne for WSGW Radio, and along with me is Anthony Hudson. Anthony, it says here for U.S. Congress. Really?
That's correct.
So you decided that you'd go out and call on some people today in the neighborhood?
Well, we decided to come out and take a look at Saginaw because we've noticed that in this city and in Flint, there's a lot of areas that are literally dying in our communities. And I am a strong believer that that is because local representatives don't represent the people here and they're not doing anything to bring back the heartbeat of our cities. So we wanted to come out. We found an old store here. This used to be a tire store, a tire and rim store here in Saginaw. And the roof is caved in, it's boarded up, it's fallen apart, and I don't see the city doing anything to fix these types of issues. And this is something I'm focused on as the next congressman here in District 8.
You know, it's kind of interesting. Our cities have really gone through a big transition where we added all sorts of concrete, asphalt, built buildings, and now we're seeing that those buildings aren't operational anymore. We do
That's
need to do
100%
something with
correct.
them, don't we?
Well, we have to do something. Yeah, absolutely. We have to revitalize this city. We have to bring a heartbeat back to this city. Years ago, in the 50s and the 60s, Saginaw was a booming city. It was one of the fastest growing cities in the state. And now you come to areas like where we're at now, and all you see is rundown businesses. Across the street from me, we have another business that's boarded up with graffiti on the wall, and a business back here in front of me that's closed up. It looked like it was an electrical company. And if we want these cities to survive, we have to find ways to restart. We have to find ways to change the infrastructure here and bring these businesses back to life, show support for the small business owners, and have, give people an opportunity to move back here where A, they feel safe, B, they can buy a home, and C, they can get a job that will support their way of living in these towns. That has been long lost and forgotten, especially here in Saginaw.
You know, it's something, Anthony, that back years ago, we did have our congressmen, we did have our legislators really concentrate on what's going on locally, even though they were in Washington, D.C. Those days seem to have gone away, haven't they?
It sure seems like that. It's almost like every state or federal representative I have tried to contact, even as a congressional candidate, I get nowhere. And that's not representation for the people. When I look at my platform as a truck driver, a family man, a baseball coach, I put a lot into my community. And I expect my representatives to be available for me. To call me, to talk to me, to help me solve some of the issues that belong to the American people that live here. And that's been forgotten. We've said that before. And what I intend to do is I have no problems giving out my phone number, giving out our address where constituents can reach us. And we plan on being an everyday boots on the ground candidate for this district simply because the district has failed. And now we need to try something different so that we can bring the city back to life. And you can only do that if your representatives are actually active within the community.
Now, the seat in Congress that you're running for is what?
Dan Kilde's seat, this is U.S. Federal Congress out of District 8. We cover Genesee County, Saginaw County, Midland, and Bay County. And this is a seat that is voted on by our district in those four counties, but also has we have to represent the American people all across the country. So it's a big job. There's a lot to do, a lot to accomplish, but we have to start somewhere, and we plan on starting right here in Saginaw, Flint, Bay, and Midland counties.
Now, some folks will argue that that seat has been well represented and that the public has really had an ear with the congressman that was there. Give me your thoughts.
Well, I'll step out of the way here. This is not well represented. When you have business owners or entrepreneurs that want to be their own boss and they want to grow their own business, they need to be able to have the resources and the ability to do just that. If we're not helping businesses like what this used to be, then we're failing at all aspects of government. I don't think this district has been well represented. I think the Kildee name has been represented all throughout the district for 40, 50, 60 years. But what have they done? They've allowed things like this to happen. And I see this more often than not, whether I'm here in Saginaw or I'm on the northeast side of Flint, where everything seems to be falling apart.
I get a funny feeling that you can really identify simply because you're involved with younger people, you're involved with their parents in the communities that they are and that you serve.
I agree with you. And you know, I think I relate to the people more for the fact that I'm an average guy. I'm a truck driver. I own a small trucking company, and I busted my butt in life to get to where I am right now. I'm a hardworking American citizen, and I have the same story that about 90% of our district has. I have the same problems, the same concerns, the same struggles as the everyday average man or woman or young person that's growing up in this economy. And I think that in order for you to address these issues and tackle these issues and find resolve, you have to know what the problems actually are. And I believe we know what they are.
You know, sometimes we think about people and what influence they will have in the future. I would assume that folks like you have to be communicating to our young people, to our youth. And I don't mean college students.
You know, we do, because the young people, even those who are outside of college by a year or two, that are in their mid to late 20s, early 30s, even, that are trying to start a family, those people need to understand that they are our future. And if we don't stand up and protect them now, not only is hope lost for them, but lost for the generations that come behind them. We're at such a turning point in our society, in our country, that if we don't get a grip on the issues, or if we don't right the wrongs or turn the ship, we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose what's known as the United States of America and democracy and freedom. It will all be lost. It'll all be a product of yesterday, when we actually have a way of saving that today. And you're right. That is the age group that we need to focus on, because they're the ones that we have to depend on to take care of us and make sure that we have everything we need as we get to the later part of our lives.
Anthony, tell me just a little bit about what have the folks in Washington and the folks that you're running against and, well, replacing, what have they done right?
You know, it's sad that I even have to think about that, but right off the top of my head, I don't know that they've done anything right. They've neglected the American people. They've neglected and tried to take away our freedom. They're trying to instate more control on the American people. They're trying to pass equality bills that put boys and girls bathrooms, boys and girls sports, boys and girls locker rooms. They're attacking our religious freedom. They're more interested in helping the rest of the world than they are helping the American citizens that are right here struggling and trying to survive. Case in point, the illegal immigrants that come into our country from the southern and northern border, they seem to get all of the American benefits that the American people are supposed to have, yet we, the people, do not seem to, qualify for those benefits anymore. So without true representation, our government has honestly failed the people on so many levels. We could talk about that all day long.
I guess that what brings back a lot of memories to me, obviously the Flint water crisis, and then that rail issue that occurred in what was it, Eastern Ohio, Western Pennsylvania.
Yep, the
Um,
train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio.
yeah, and kind of what we're leading, what you're saying is that um, obviously there was a big mess up in Washington D.C. Those people have needed help and continue to need help, and are they getting it?
No, they're not. I mean, look at you. You brought up the Flint water crisis that happened just over a decade ago, and that has not been resolved yet. The lawsuit money that was awarded to the people of Flint, they have not gotten a single penny of that money at this point, and I want to know why. My job as the next congressman is to hold them accountable and seek the answers to the questions that we all have as to why the government is not doing what they're supposed to do to help our people locally or on a national level.
We're really fortunate here in Michigan to be as diverse a state as we are. And I'm not talking just population diversity. I'm talking industry. I'm talking agriculture. I'm talking tourism. We've got a lot to protect here in our state, don't we?
We have a lot to protect. We absolutely do. Michigan is a beautiful state. And if we want to entice people to come to Michigan, to relocate their families, start families, buy a home, or bring their businesses to Michigan, we should focus on selling what we have to offer here in the state of Michigan: the outdoors, the weather, the Great Lakes, the people, the car industry. We have a lot to offer people here, no matter where they come from. We need to start promoting that instead of trying to encourage people to stay here, because right now more people are leaving the state than there are moving into the state. And it seems like Whitmer is more focused on trying to just keep them here. We need to focus on bringing people back to the great state of Michigan.
You bring up a very good point, and that is about development. We have a lot of work to do to develop our state to make it more attractive.
We do. We do. And I look at cities like Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids is a beautiful city. Traverse City, Petoskey, Charlevoix, even Detroit at this point. They've gone through a major overhaul downtown. They've wiped out all the dilapidated areas, buildings like this that are standing behind me, and they've built beautiful townhomes. They brought community involvement. They brought all the sports back to Detroit. There is a blueprint for success in Michigan, and if we want to follow that here in District 8, we really need to look at what happened in Detroit and figure out how we can implement those same strategies and changes for development here, as like they did in Detroit. We can do it. We, the people of this country, the American people, Michiganders, are resilient. We are stubborn, we're hard-headed, but we're focused on issues at hand. And I think if we had more people representing us the way that they need to be representing us, the people would fall in line, they would fall in suit, and they would want to do everything they could to help out our community.
You know, the district that you're going to be representing has been known far and wide as the rust bucket of Michigan. How are we going to improve that, Anthony?
Well, we got to start by tearing down what's already broken, and we got to start, and then we got to rebuild. We've got to get, the government has all these government contractors, and we need someone that can urge those contractors to come into our communities to start tearing down and rebuilding, so that we can start selling our towns back to the people who want to come here. Once you tear things down, you tear down these old buildings and you want to build up new empires or new enterprises, new manufacturing plants, you have to have something to offer the people. And right now, the biggest and most important thing people want to look at are wages. Can we bring jobs back to this area that have good competitive wages so that they can afford to buy a house and afford to start a family here? And the answer is yes, we can absolutely do that.
There's a lot of conversation, whether it's true or not, about some of our big industries packing up and moving very possibly into another country.
Yeah, and that's where the term America First comes into play. America First means keeping our businesses in the United States, keeping our dollar in the United States. Bring back the steel mills, build up the automotive industry, bring back the call centers to our state, and give these people gainful employment where they have an opportunity to grow with the company, to get their raises and get their benefits and retirement, and give them an opportunity to be successful. We don't offer that here in this district anymore. Outside of General Motors in Flint, name me 5 businesses that compare to the jobs that General Motors brings to Flint. Name me 5 businesses in Saginaw that do the exact same thing outside of like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or a restaurant, chain restaurant. You just don't have it here. The silos that were painted in town, to my knowledge, those silos have been emptied and voided for years, and they brought that artist in to come in and paint those. Why are we not using them? Why are we not promoting our farmers? Why are we not promoting agriculture? Why are we not promoting our truck drivers by deregulating these industries so that they can grow and be somewhat successful in life? we have to change the narrative. We have to change what is and make it what can be. And I think when we do that, the people will start to breathe a little easier. They'll have some of that stress taken off their shoulders, and they'll be ready to get out here and do what's necessary for our community.
A good part of your district obviously is agricultural based as well. And I'm just kind of curious because there's quite a bit of conversation going on about companies coming in and being able to purchase land, um, overriding zoning boards, that sort of thing, and installing, whether it's windmills or solar in our particular area. Um, Agriculture is a pretty important part of our economy.
It's a very important part of our economy, and right now I feel like our agriculture industry is overregulated. There's too much government stepping on the farmers and those who are in the agriculture industry, and they need to release that foot. They need to release the pressure. I'm a big advocate for deregulating the farmers and ranchers in Michigan so that they can grow their crops. I'm an advocate for seizing back the land that was sold to China to build places like the Goshen EV battery plant. We don't need to buy that back. We need to take it back because it's part of America. That's our land. It belongs to our farmers. We need to allow these farmers to expand, grow their crops, have access to federal funding so that they can do these things. And I think once we start accomplishing a few of these items, we can start having the farmers, donate a small percentage back to the federal government, 1% of their crop, 2% of their crop, straight towards the hungry people in this country. We can't do that if their land is being taken away from them and they're being forced to downsize so that the Chinese can come in and take over local communities with their big electric vehicle battery plants or their semiconductor plants. I'm not I'm not an advocate for the windmills or the solar plants. I signed the petitions to fight against that, and I will stand up and argue that those are not conducive to our ecosystem, our economy, our climate. It's not conducive for any of that. I don't see one good thing coming out of that other than the fact that somebody else is getting energy or power from our solar farms. It's not staying here in Michigan.
Anthony, folks are going to have the opportunity to talk to you numerous times, I'm sure, but in particular, as we're talking today, a little bit later on this afternoon, where and what time?
We are going to be at the VFW in Midland at 5:30 today. We have a candidate forum. There's going to be a lot of local candidates there. It's going to be an opportunity for me to talk about my platform and introduce myself to the folks in Midland. It's at the VFW, so as a veteran, I really am honored to go there and speak on behalf of veterans and the situation our veterans are in today's world. And I think it's a good place where people can come and have a good time. They're going to be serving pizza and refreshments. Um, the event probably lasts about 2 hours, but that starts at 5:30 at the VFW in Midland. So I hope people will come out and shake our hand and talk to us and get to know us a little better because we have a very, very important election coming up 2 weeks from today.
Yeah, and some folks have got ballots in their hands already if they haven't already voted.
That's right. And we sent out over 20,000 ballots or mailers to chase the ballots. Um, all throughout the district. And I've been getting phone calls every single day of people calling to ask if I'm a Republican or a Democrat, what's my stance on immigration, and try to get my views. And by the time we get off the phone, they're sending their ballots in with my name circled. So we've gotten a great response from our ballot chasers. We've got people that are seeing our billboards in Genesee County that are calling me up, telling me that they're great looking billboards, and they really do hope that we are successful in our primary. I'm not one to sit here and go crazy on my opponents, but people need to do their research. They need to understand that Paul Young has run, this is his third cycle. He's won the primary in two, but lost the general in two. And I just don't have confidence in Mary Draves being a former Democrat at the Dow industry running on the Republican ticket. If people want to vote for a true conservative, the truck driver from Grand Blanc, Michigan, is the true conservative on the ticket. And I am the only one that actually represents the people, seeing that I come from the people.
So again, in closing, the website, I know it's scrolling across the bottom, but can you give it to us?
Yeah, my website is anthonyhudson2k24.com. We have several pages there I'd like you guys to check out. We have an endorsement page that shows good people, not people from the establishment, not rhinos that are endorsing me and pushing for an average American to seek office. We've got a policy page of things that we're currently active and working on. And then we have a volunteer page where, even though we have 2 weeks left, if you want to get involved, you can click on that link and you can join our campaign and help us knock on doors or put out yard signs or hand out literature. We very much are the people's candidate, and we want the people to be involved. So I'm not doing this for me. I'm not doing this for my family. I'm not doing this for fame or for fortune. I'm doing this because I feel like my country needs me, and I feel like the average person in this district finally needs a voice that will stand up and fight for them, just like Donald Trump said last Saturday or 2 Saturdays ago after his failed assassination attempt. Fight. That's what we need to do at this point, is we need to stand up and fight for our country, fight for our values, fight for our freedom, and fight for our future. And that's what I represent as your next candidate for U.S. Congress.
Anthony Hudson, thank you so much for sharing. We really appreciate it. Hopefully a lot of folks will have the opportunity to stop by the VFW in Midland. If not, they can get in contact with you.
Yes, they can. Our phone number is area code 810-285-2433. If you have any questions, if you want to meet up for coffee and talk politics about what's concerning you, give me a call and I'll meet up with you any day, anytime. It doesn't matter. That's what we're here for.
Anthony, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You take care. Have a good campaign.
Thank you so much for having us on your show, and we look forward to talking to you soon.